Today on the show, we have our friends Travis and Suzanne. They are filmmakers, location scouts, actors, acting teachers, coaches, directors,
producers, writers.
And this was a lot of fun. Suzanne also knows a thing or two about horses. And we see if she can answer the age-old question, could I kill a horse with a sword? Me, Paul, personally, in a fight to the death. We get into it and so much more. But before that, we'd like to talk to you about Hexa Coffee, the greatest coffee in the world. And if you go to hexacoffee.com, that's HEXE coffee.com, check out using the promo code ELK. You'll get 10% off your total purchase. You're going to love it. Enjoy the show. Christine's like spring breaks and a lot of times during the summer she'd be in San Diego.
Brought me out here.
It was like her second life.
Mm-hmm.
The surf clubs.
Yeah, and then I would always like kind of hate it on LA. I was like, San Diego's where it's at, you know? San Diego's so much cooler.
That's the California city that we need to worry about.
And then I got here and I was like, oh wait, LA is cool.
San Diego's really cool too though. I don't know
San
which
Diego's
is
charming.
cooler. Like if I had tons of money, would I rather live in LA or San Diego? I don't know.
Different kind of cool, right?
They're different.
Different kind of cool.
What do you think is cool about San Diego?
It just feels like it's almost like a Florida beach town in California. Like that's how it feels versus LA is like a California city. I don't know. It's different. Like San Diego feels more on vacation than LA to me. It's a slower pace.
Yeah, different culture.
I do feel like it evolves around the beach a little bit more.
There's more active culture, more day drinking culture.
Less Hollywood, though.
Less Hollywood.
Well, yeah. And then you have none of that. Which the Hollywood stuff doesn't really bother me. That's actually what I like about LA is Hollywood and all that shit.
Mm-hmm. I used to mock it, but then I realized it's actually cool.
We mock what we don't understand.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at all.
I met some actor. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's just like I only associated it with like vanity. I didn't realize like how actually it's more like a reflection of people pursuing their passions and like exploring and pushing themselves, and that kind of thing is a contagious energy. That's not something to like scoff at, in my opinion. That's been one of my switches living here longer.
There's dicks here too.
Oh, for sure, of course.
There's so many dicks.
Of course.
It's a good default position to take. You're going to be right 9 times out of 10, 100%. You're going to be fine.
Expect not a lot.
Yeah, you were born here, right, Suzanne?
I was.
In Glendale?
Yeah, and your dad
Glendale.
too.
In this
and
house.
my dad.
Your dad.
This is my childhood.
Your second generation Glendale.
This is where my mom pushed me out.
Yep.
Yeah, second generation Glendale, but now we live in Eagle Rock. Well, you and I live in Eagle Rock.
That's
anyway,
cool.
But yeah,
I like that part of town
But
too.
it was fun. My parents are in the industry. They're both photographers and behind the scenes sort of people. So they did a lot of like headshots for like Columbo. You know the guy Peter Falk?
Yeah.
They did his headshot back in the day.
They did?
Oh, wow.
It's like, come
Really?
on. It's ridiculous.
Wait, is that
like,
the guy from Star Trek? Peter Falk.
No,
No, that's
Spock. I'm thinking Spock.
That's Leonard Nimoy.
Peter Falk. Let's just look
Peter
him up.
Falk.
He had a
You
glass
recognize him.
eye. He had a glass eye. And he also did a lot of Broadway plays and stuff. So he's like such a good actor. And then he was doing this TV show. What did you say it was? It was like from
Oh, right. He always had a hat on. He's
1960s.
like, loosen up now. He like had a raspy
From
voice.
60s to the 80s. From
But
60s to the 90s.
His thing
maybe.
was always like, oh, one more thing. Senator.
He was the
like,
dumb
oh my
detective that wasn't really dumb, but he played dumb so that the murderer would like reveal themselves
Yeah, because the murderer was always like, let me help you solve the murder.
before
Okay.
our time.
Yep. No, I recognize this face.
Oh,
okay.
hell yeah.
I never saw it though until I was older, and they talked about how cool
He
it was.
is the grandpa in
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Who's
he is.
reading the story to the
Oh, yeah.
to Boy Meets World kid.
Excellent.
Is this a kissing movie? And then he's like, eh.
That movie's so good.
Yes.
That is great.
But so for you growing up in LA, did you have like a realization like, oh, this is where all the movies are made? Like, you know that the whole time growing up, right?
I just have loved movies so much, and the behind the scenes of it, like that iconic scene of everybody in the back lot where there's like a giraffe walking by and the Vegas showgirls and like people in like, you know, whatever. Like that is my heart, my soul. Like I love movies. I love the whole process of making them and all of that stuff. And my parents do too. But they weren't so much like making movies or more so like seeing the finished product. They were just always there when it was just the bare bones of it. So they're used to things being in construction, which is hilarious to me. But anyway, yeah, movies were always a thing. And then I did background in high school and I started acting and doing that. And it was just sort of, you know, a road that I was on. And then I did horses, which changed everything. And that's not, you know, you can be anywhere and do horses.
Did horses, like started riding and raising horses?
Yeah,
And
so
competing.
I competed, and I just naturally am sort of okay at it, and so I went up in the ranks very quickly, and I had horses, and I started training other people's horses and competing and winning, and it was a thing. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it was the thing that I like wanted to do my whole life. And I always come back to movies, and I always come back to it's like that's my soul, and it's so nice to be able to do that with you because I've had partners in the past where they're like not in the industry, and it's like that's cool. Cool. What'd you do at work today? And it's like, I'm not interested in what you're about. You're a nice person. But like when we can like go out there and I can just have a camera on him and he can just like say stuff and then we make it, it's just like the whole thing is complete all of a sudden.
Right.
Your whole
Speaking
dream.
your language.
Yes. That's my love language, just being creative together and making stuff.
Well, yeah,
You guys
movies
have.
or
I get
not,
that.
like being creative together is
Very fun.
is a really nice privilege that we
yeah.
share as well. With the horses, like you're racing them, you're jumping them, you're
So-
like doing the trot.
She did the jumps.
man,
She
the
did the
jumps.
jumps.
I did the
The
jumps.
two bars, 3 bars high, like
They
Yeah,
go
how
by
many of those-
feet. They go by feet. The tallest I've jumped is 5'4". 5'4", which
That's
is
impressive.
I
Cool,
am
little person.
5'4".
That's jumping over my mom. Yeah, that's pretty
It's
good.
really tall. But my trainer Adrian, who later became my godmother because we got so close. Oh my God, she owned a bunch of race horses, and so I would go over to Santa Anita and I would race them, not race them, but breeze them in the morning, as
Get 'em
you call
warmed
it.
up.
Get them warmed up. You know, they exercise. You have to get them out in the
Before the
morning.
race.
Well, it's a whole
the
process.
controversial races, which we
Well,
could talk about that later.
well-
Horse racing.
Yeah, I mean, a
Wow.
lot of people are against it, right?
I'm against it.
She's
You're
against
against it.
I'm against
As a horse
it.
person, it's bad
As
for the
a horse
animals.
person, because it's just like physically taxing.
Well, it's less about this is my animal and I love them and I'm creating a relationship with them and, you know, I'm enjoying this animal, and more about this animal is faster than the other animals I have. And so I'm going to make a business out of this because he makes me money. And the second that animal stops making them money, oh my God. Oh my, well, yeah,
the
yeah.
glue factory, or to like a
Yes.
sanctuary that like takes.
I mean,
on
you
these horses.
hope that the person is nice enough, but most of the time they're just some big businessman, and it's more time and effort and money to find that person a really nice person, that animal, a really nice home where they're taken care of and where they can have a nice, you know, life or whatever. And it's just it's less money to just get rid of them
Why
right
is
then
that
and there.
not happening with like prize horse trotting and jumping? Is there less money in it?
Oh,
Like, how is that not also the same thing?
I think maybe it's not like big enough. Like with a
People don't
with like
bet
a
on that.
with
So
like
there's
a
less
Grand
money in
Prix.
it.
I think so. Like with a Grand Prix horses, you got like $1 million horses jumping like for the Olympics and all of this stuff. But in that culture with the hunter jumper people and the dressage and the trotting, there is a little bit more of a horsemanship aspect of it. So there's more respect for
High
the
class.
horse. A little,
It's high
yeah,
class.
a little bit. So it's
Like
like
polo.
if your horse isn't working, you're gonna try to sell that horse to somebody. It's like, oh, he broke his leg in 2009, but he's totally rehabilitated, and it would be good for like a young child coming up, sort of a horse. You know, they rebrand it. But in terms of racing, it's very obvious if they have any sorts like ballet dancers. You know, you get
be
one
pristine.
injury, you're out, you're done, because there's so many more horses being bred every year that can just take over for that horse. So
And it's crazy. Horses, she's told me, they're so big and heavy that if they get like a small injury,
It's
it could like
everything.
ruin their whole life. They have to
Absolutely.
get put down because they can't heal, right? Or it's more expensive to
It's more expensive.
nurse them back to health than it is to just put them down. It's really
it depends on the owner. If the owner's cool and really cares about that animal, you know, you can spend thousands on a
Ankle
operation.
thing, yeah.
You know, but if you're a businessman, you're like, I just want to go fast. You just shoot them. You're done with it.
Anyway, I didn't mean to make it dark, guys.
No, that's okay.
This is
I mean,
terrible.
people do that a lot with their dogs too. It's like if a human is sick, like we will go bankrupt saving our brother or our sister or whatever, mom, dad. But like, if the dog gets sick, like there's a limit. Like, okay,
I don't know. I've met more people who have,
a lot of people are like, people have a limit in their head.
I know more people who've paid the 10 grand surgeries than have walked away from their dog.
Yeah, I suppose so. But that's so 10 grand's not their limit. But there is a limit. With animals always. I have to ask this question, and maybe you're not gonna like it, but friends of mine are gonna want me to ask this question. So JC and my buddy Joey, like the boyfriends, we always had this debate. I feel like in a life or death situation, me versus a horse, an average horse, average size horse. The horse wants to kill me. I have to kill the horse or it's going to kill me, but I get a sword.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like I'm going to kill that horse. But they're like, no fucking way. A horse is so big, it'll murder you. And the horse is trying to kill me. It wants to kill me and I want to kill it. Who do you think wins?
I was going to say just horses are not exactly predators, but if this is a very angry horse that you said wants to kill you, then
it's him or me.
That's different. I would say you. There's lots of battlefield movies that I've seen where it's like some really menacing figure coming forward on a horse, and I don't want to be gross with the horse. And the guy, you could just chop the horse's head off. It's fine.
People
I think
do
I'd be just.
No, but I'm not.
I'd just be like,
its legs. Chop its legs out from underneath it.
That's how I feel like. Yeah, I would be slashing at the legs, slash and dodge, right? Slash and dodge, and then stab. And
repeat.
Dance
so
and repeat.
Paul told me this story on the way home from your parents' house this morning and goes, so now anytime I ever meet a horse, I'm wondering if they can tell how much I've thought about killing a horse with a sword.
Horses sense things. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to kill the horse, but I wonder if it knows that I've really thought a lot about. And every time I see a horse, I'm sizing it up to see, like, I think I could take this guy with a sword.
I think the horse, in real life, if it wasn't already angry, it would just run away.
Right. But what if it is? Who do you think would win?
Okay.
Yeah, let's hear.
There's two parts to my answer. Both of them are correct. The first part is this. I think it depends on the horse, first of all. If the horse is aggressive and upset, which I've been around plenty of those, you're in trouble. If it's just some random ass horse in a field, you have a sword and you're going to chop its head off. I mean, there's not much you can do about it.
So, but if it wants to kill me,
you're done.
I'm done.
You're done.
Well, what is it going to do? Turn around and buck backwards? Like, how is it going to attack
it? It could just trample.
Okay,
come headbutt you.
It could trample you.
So I'm a person. I'm a human being. As you, if I go like that, it's as powerful as I am. It's no big deal. But horses do that to each other, and remember that they've got like a really solid coconut on the ends of their hands.
They do that with their arms?
Well, like if they kick at a fly, like they're very reactionary. If they're fight or flight, or not, they're fleeing. What do you call it? Animals of flight. So if they get scared, if anything happens, whatever, their first instinct is just to like get away, And so they're not very like, they don't want to hurt people. They want to run. But they go like this with flies and stuff.
With their tail?
No, with their legs. And oh my God.
So they react quickly and just kind of do these like.
But they're so strong. Like imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger in ballet shoes, okay? Like you're trying to make them this gentle, like majestic thing, but these are dinosaurs. They're mythical dragon people, okay? So when they do something and they're not dumb, but they don't understand the massiveness of themselves. They don't realize how so you're massive. Dust. If there's a horse around and he wants to,
she would definitely.
100%.
I'm with you.
100%. Also,
including, but even if I dash and slash.
He's got a sword, remember?
I feel like
I have a sword and I will be slashing and dashing.
I feel like think about the intimidation factor. If a horse is all of a sudden charging you, you really think you're going to get a good swing
Exactly.
in? You're going to fumble and trip and
you're not that
and
used
drop
to
the sword.
being a swordsman.
I was scared feeding your horse a carrot this morning, and I love horses. But
it's your instincts that will fuck you.
They're just so big.
They're so massive, and I'm around them so seldomly, and so every single time I love them, but I'm like humbled instantly by them. I think I think we wouldn't stand a chance.
You wouldn't.
All right, what about a buffalo? Let's talk buffalo.
Let's go bigger.
Let's talk buffalo.
But I've broken bones. I've broken bones just from taking care of a horse because they'll step. You're walking them and then they'll just take their a fly and then they'll go like that and then step strange on your foot and you're wearing like Nikes or whatever. You break a toe.
She got trampled
I have a pipe in my arm and
She
a
has
bolt
some injuries,
from
for real.
falling. I have my back's all fucked. Oh my God. I have so many things.
When
Wow,
you fell
from
and
the
broke
horsing.
your arm, you fell and broke your arm and also
I did.
trampled you the same time, or is that
So
a
he
different time?
trampled me. That was a different time. He trampled me, and thank God I was wearing a helmet. But you should see that helmet.
It broke, right?
Totally broke. If I was not wearing a helmet, I'm a huge advocate for helmets with horses because I've been to enough horse shows where I've seen people helicoptered out
Oh, it's
because
so scary.
like the horse just like tripped and it gave him like whiplash, and now they're fucking paralyzed.
Well, because they bucked him on accident off.
Sure. Christopher
right?
Reeve, classic.
100%.
It's the
Oh my God, I have a
scariest.
lot to say about that.
And then she was saying, not to get
faking
into
it?
Christopher Reeve's thing,
Well,
but it's because he was so tall.
well, here's the thing. I have
What
a
was
very
it?
short waist. From my pelvis bone to my shoulder, it's very short. You know, I'm not like a Giselle Bundchen where she's all, torso. Oh my
Who's
God.
that?
Thank you. But anyway, like a model or like these very tall, Anyway, I'm not that way.
You could be a model, baby. Sorry, I had to say
An
that.
ear model. Christopher Reeves. Now, Christopher Reeves had a very long torso. He's very top heavy.
Yeah, no center of gravity.
Right. And the horse that he was riding was very tiny, a little like pig of a horse.
Someone put him on a small horse.
Absolutely. And he's also doing a type of riding called cross country, which is less organized than the flat, like Olympic kind of riding that we see in an arena. He's going over like
Off-road.
branches, and then like when the horse takes off from this level, now he's like going into a ditch and like stuff.
So
it's
he's
very
running with the horse? That's
he's
what he would
running
do?
as fast as he can, going over these hurdles
Superman movies
and
got to
doing
his
that.
head.
But anyway, had he been on a much bigger horse, when he did fall, his head would not have been in that position to where it would have done the thing that it did. And I just feel like,
So because he flipped over the horse easier than you would have?
well, 100%. Like if the horse is bigger than you, the horse is going to fall before you
you're gonna
do.
stop
And he
you.
kind of fell. I mean, it's like riding a pony. Like you're going to hit your head before the pony does, So just like lots of things were going on there, and it shouldn't have happened. And
Wait, so to be clear, what happened to Christopher Reeve? He was riding the horse quickly. They're like running through the forest.
Yeah, jumping over
it
stuff.
Fell, and so he flew forward, like flipping over the
something
front
like that.
Of a
bars
bicycle.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But because he was so big, he ended up
His
falling.
momentum was bigger than the horse's.
Correct. So he fell in a very awkward position. But you know what? That happens when all of the circumstances are correct as well. You just really can't tell. But that's the great thing and the bad
accident.
thing about riding horses is that you have no control, but you're like pretending that you do have control. But at the end of the day,
like life.
these horses are just like, oh, this is
It's
my
like being an
mom.
adult.
They feed me, But the second they make the decision to turn on you, it's over.
It's like in
so
Game
On
of Thrones, the
purpose, or
dragons.
I mean, probably like you said, more often on accident, or just like they get distracted from what they're doing, or they trip, or they
You
have,
have a
mistake.
small dog. How often do you accidentally kind of kick it or step on it for a second, or
Absolutely,
scoot your
yeah.
chair back?
Every
and it
day.
goes, yeah, exactly. The kicks often, very often.
Often.
Well, it's a lot like. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
I've just
Or like-
recently started getting into it. I'm
The
not
new one,
that
the
far.
new-
no, I
oh.
have not.
House
Okay.
of Dragon.
I haven't seen the new one yet.
In the new one, though, they say it's like, "Yo, let me tell you a secret. Like, we don't actually have control of these dragons. Like we kind of pretend like we do. Don't tell anybody, and definitely don't tell the dragons. But
my
it's like
God, yeah.
it's similar to horses. It's like we think of people, especially like back when horses were really used more in day-to-day life. We think of people as like having control of the horses, but they didn't. They don't.
do not.
You cannot control. You have some control, but it's really an illusion.
Well, yeah, I mean, some people are really nasty to their animals. They treat them like that businessman at the racetrack, right? And it's just like, oh, Daddy, I didn't get enough red ribbons or blue ribbons this month. Let's get another horse, because this one doesn't work. And in those cases, those girls are usually very aggressive, and they beat the horse, and like there's so much nastiness
You
around
see
it.
that at competitions and stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. And they shoot them up with drugs and all this stuff. But like I've literally seen someone just take a crop and just beat the horse, because they didn't do something. And it's like, oh man, like I just like my horse, I don't need to go into a competition or spend a lot of money or do anything. I like his big old eyes and his little whisker face and
We should introduce them to Worm. So
Tell them about Worm.
It's a great story. So, and it proves that reincarnation is real. Because I got on a horse and it was like riding a bike, but I don't have any experience. She was really impressed as a horse person. Long story short, we're at the Burbank equestrian area near the studio, walking around looking at the horses, and some guy that was like 65 with long hair, no shirt, name's Worm or Worms. I don't know if it's plural or
I
singular.
can't remember if the plural part or not.
But he
It's
saw
a
us
he or them.
Yeah, it's a nice guy, and he saw us admiring his horse, and he's like, "Hey, come over? And we did. And then he's like, you want to ride it? And we're like, sure. And then I rode it, but it wasn't like fast. It was like going around in the circle. What's it called? Trotting?
Yes.
And then what's more than a trot?
Canter.
Canter.
And then gallop.
Yeah, and then a gallop.
Yeah, so I didn't get to the gallop
Canter.
part as
You
much as
you didn't gallop, but you
I
did
wanted to
canter a little
gallop,
bit.
but I didn't.
Just a couple
but it was
strides.
like too much. But it felt so natural, and I don't know. She was impressed, I guess.
Well, there's this technique that you do when the horses are trotting. It's called posting. So the rider will post, and what that basically is just squeezing with your thighs, and with the motion of the horse, you lift yourself out of the saddle to go with that
I kept
motion.
hitting my butt. I was like, and it like kind of hurt.
But
It's like,
so
ow.
and to go against that, what you were doing is you were naturally going out of the saddle in that motion to post, which is kind of a hard thing
So
to
you're
teach
going with
people
the
when they
movement
first
versus
exactly
resistance,
And
yeah.
you did that naturally, which is
I was obviously a cowboy
Unusual.
in a former life,
Oh, this is
very
the proof.
unusual.
and we could launch down the reincarnation hole if you want.
Well, is Worm a reincarnation of you yourself as well?
I hope.
Oh my God.
Worm is me in a former life.
That's you in
That
the
time
future.
travel.
Currently in a former life, yeah.
Oh man. But he had a smile that was so huge. Yeah, you were
I
just
felt
you were
like a kid.
enjoying it so much.
exciting.
It was really awesome.
When I first started riding, I was terrified. I was just like, don't fall off, don't make a mistake, don't make them like want to eat you or whatever. But you had a completely
I
different.
had a few times as a kid where I rode a horse, but not like much experience. I did like the summer camp horse thing, and Camp Kataki is what it was called
Camp Kentucky in
Nice.
Nebraska.
in Nebraska. Yeah, and then I have a vivid memory of I think it was my mom's boyfriend or something had a horse, and he took me with him, and I was like galloping, like fast gallop, but he was driving it, and and then my mom, he was riding it. I think my mom found out and was like pissed off. He's like, you went how fast on the horse with my son?
Got to have a helmet on.
Anyway, horses. it's a
When
whole
your
thing.
helmet broke, you fell off and it broke, or it stepped on your head?
So Pyro, love of my life, who passed away this year, I was very sad. He was an old boy. It's totally
25.
It's totally okay anyway.
Pyro.
Oh, Pyroni Pony. He was just a baby, and we were teaching him a very complicated step, and he was very he didn't know how to use his legs properly, as young animals with long legs do. Anyway, trying to get him to do the thing. He ended up going a little too fast, and then with his butt, as they do, they do like a little buck, like a little skip. And I'm like, that took me out of the saddle because I'm not prepared for that all the time. I fell over the top of him. He kept going, and so I was in front of him. He stepped on my head. My head had a helmet on it. The helmet broke. My head did not. But I would be dead.
What do they weigh?
I would be
1,200
dead.
pounds?
At least 12 to 18
You're
to
so
23.
lucky.
Oh my God. I mean, they're so big, but the average horse is 1,500 pounds. The average, which is
And
like
that's in
16
Blaze,
hand
who
height.
you met today. Blaze, he's a bigger.
not an
He's a
average
big
horse.
He's a bigger horse.
He's bigger
right?
than average.
He's
Okay, that
much-
makes me feel better because I was like, he'd probably kill me with a horse. But
Huge.
if he's above average,
He
he's
really
not
is.
who I would be competing against.
He's still competing with the horses.
He's huge.
I'm still playing. I gotta think that I'm not leaving that place dead. I'm surviving. I'm walking out of
Is
there.
it one horse or is it a stampede? Because if
Oh,
it's a stampede,
fuck.
there's
A
zero
stampede?
chance that you could pull off a
No,
sword
man.
fight.
You're right. I cannot defeat 1,000 horses. I agree. But one on one,
I mean, I'm sorry not to
Dash
just
and
have
slash?
blind confidence in you, but I'm just no.
I don't
no
know. I
chance.
just feel like I mean, I wouldn't be in mint condition, but I would be.
You could open your eyes.
I'd survive. The
Sure.
horse would die. I would not. The horse would die before me.
So what was the recovery like?
Oh, my mom's so sweet. It was just a lot of her feeding me and me sitting in bed. And I don't think it was as bad as it really was.
Did you break things too?
No, that particular one was when I was, I don't know, like 13 or
So you
14. But he ripped the hair out of I have like this little baby hair, and it was outside of the helmet. And when his hoof went over the helmet,
Just ripped it out.
ripped the hair out. And so that was...
Was it traumatizing more than anything? Like
No,
your
because
mom
I
taking
had
care of
fallen
you?
off before, and that's sort of like a thing with the horse community and the riding. It's just like you fall off. That's just, it happens so much. You will always fall off. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're bad. It's just like that's a wild animal.
You can't control it.
And you're trying to
as much
pretend
as
like
think.
you know what you're doing. And sometimes, like, a Cheeto bag will fly in the wind into the arena, and they'll be like, oh, alien, nothing else matters. And then they'll just, throw throw you
Shiny
off.
thing.
Absolutely.
We're
So
being
you
invaded.
always have to be ready for that.
That's, I think, why they're my spirit animal. I'm just realizing it. They're like, squirrel.
I'm easily distracted too. I know how that is.
Oh, I love them.
Wow, that's really lucky that you did not smash your face.
Seriously.
Well, that time.
She looked out, but
no.
yeah, she's got steel in her.
I'm just a
That's when you just
Terminator
fell
person.
off. You just fell off.
Yeah, I just fell off. But, when you fall at a certain,
You're like, what,
Yeah.
5-6
Whatever.
feet off the ground almost?
yeah, and if they buck you off, you can be higher up. And then the fall, just falling off an average horse at a standstill isn't that bad. But when they, throw you up there and you're
Right.
landing, oh my
falling like
God.
12
Plus,
feet.
plus momentum, and then how you land, Sometimes
and you're,
you
like,
tuck and
flailing
roll,
in the air.
sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm not a
you
stunt man. I don't know how to, fall.
Sure.
I'm just
Tuck and roll.
You're not a
That's what they call
skateboarder.
that. Tuck and roll.
and
Slash
roll.
and dice.
Stodo.
What was yours?
Slash and dash.
Yeah.
Slash and dash, tuck and roll. Very
Tuck and
simple.
roll.
Very simple. Bend
Yeah.
and snap.
When we have a kid, I want them to skateboard at a young age because skateboarders know how to
balance.
fall and they have good balance. But if a skateboarder falls doing anything in their life, they roll out of it. They land pretty good.
right.
Me,
Yep.
I put my hands out. I just snap my wrist. I just don't have the coordination.
You're like,
I don't
I
have the
have seen
reflexes to correctly fall.
Did you skate?
Reenactment.
No,
I didn't
I
either.
mean I did, and then I broke my wrist, and then I kind of stopped.
See, I've done that with snowboarding. That's the rookie mistake, right? When you're falling, you're supposed to just kind of ball it and take it.
Right.
And yeah, I've sprained it so bad where it
Yeah.
ruined the whole night. Friends are partying after snowboarding, and I'm like, nah, I'm going to lay in bed in pain. You
'Cause of
stay
my
in the hot tub
wrist.
and smoke hash. I'm going to be in the bed. Okay?
The bed feels good to me.
All night, just it sucked. And I have a high pain tolerance.
man.
I know that's exactly
For me,
what happened.
snowboarding, it's always my ass or my knees. When you're back on the mountain for the first time in a while, you're getting used to it. It's like you're just wobbling back and forth. But I don't know, the wrists, God,
that's the problem.
The wrists
wrist is tough.
they're fragile.
Back on the
They're
mountain.
So fragile.
Back on the mountain.
Once you get back on the
And
mountain,
it still hurts.
you're ready
I'll
for your fancy French
do push-ups and be like, oh, it's sore.
From that same occurrence.
I swear it's
Wow.
not healed.
Oh no, it never does. I don't
It's
think. I still
Not
have
anymore.
injuries from high school soccer. I think
And my
that
problem
I've
was
flared up.
I would go every 5 years or 7 years. It's not enough to get good. You never get. You're just relearning every time, and then I'm just doing the same.
Same.
And I always got injured every time. I'm like, I like drums more than snowboarding, and I need my wrist for that. I'm thinking of all the things I enjoy more than snowboarding, and I'm like, fuck this.
that involve your wrist.
Yeah, or my hands, or my legs, or
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a fun thrill, but it is an intimidating thrill. It's kind of like the horseback riding. You're doing it and you're like, I really shouldn't be going this fast. Last time I was, I think, renting a helmet for the first time, and getting off the ski lift, I wasn't, fully buckled in yet. You only have one foot in, so you don't have full control. Do you ever have full control? But I didn't have full control. Anyways, I slammed backwards and hit my head so hard. My head ricocheted off the
the
ground.
helmet.
And it was exiting on this icy part where
So it's
everybody,
ice, yeah.
packs down the snow. So anyways, I was just so grateful for the helmet because I'm I would have just been out for the rest of the weekend concussed.
You know Liam Neeson.
Yeah, that's
His
how he
wife.
lost his wife. I know.
And what's his name?
Oh, I didn't hear
Cher's
about that.
husband?
Sonny.
So this
Sonny
is not
Bono?
funny, but my
Glendale.
entire life, I thought Sonny Bono died of a water ski accident. My whole life,
Wow.
I pictured him.
It's not that far off.
Yeah, he was
into-
skiing.
pretty close.
No, I know.
People just said skiing, and you were like,
My
you have pictured
entire
water
life,
skiing.
I pictured him on water skis, plowing into a dock. That's what I thought happened to
man.
him. And then you recently were like, yeah, when he died skiing, and I finally realized.
You're like, oh.
I'm telling you, I learned this a week ago.
Congratulations
Thank you.
and welcome.
So
Water
he
skiing
hit
is
a
hard.
tree, right?
He had a tree.
Is that what happened to
Those
Liam
pesky
Neeson's
trees.
wife, too?
No,
Yeah.
she was just
Oh.
hanging out and she fell randomly and hit her head on the ice.
So, like
what
Christine.
happened to you. And
Oh
she
my
wasn't wearing a helmet. Because
And
those
then
perms back
she
then,
was
you can't.
fine, and
too
then
pretty
she
for a
went to
helmet.
sleep and wasn't fine.
Yeah.
Oh.
So sad.
You know, we
So
were
sad.
watching a UFC fight the other day. It was so
my
gnarly.
God.
this
Oh,
knockout.
those are a thing.
But how crazy is it that the brain, you can get punched in the head so hard that you're basically dead, but you come back. How amazing is it that the brain can do that? It can get so hard. Basically, when you get hit that hard, it's like someone took your brain and just threw it against the wall, really hard. That's
You just
basically
black
what
out.
happened. And then, you just go. But then they survive.
Not always.
How
Yeah.
crazy? Not
But
always.
you fall in the ice
But
and you're
how
dead.
crazy is it that
No, it's
you can
funny how it works.
survive being knocked out? You would think if you're knocked out, you're dead. Why is it that we can come back from that?
But I mean,
How?
and why is it that sometimes you can't? How is there such a wide range of what you can endure as a human body? Because sometimes you can fall off of a 10-foot cliff and die, and sometimes you can fall off of a 40-foot building and you survive.
Intention, that's what it is. It's the warrior thing. When you're a UFC person, there's the survival thing, right? If you're Natasha Richardson, like having a beverage, you're like 3 martinis deep and you're on the mountain, you're not thinking about anything other than like, I'm on a mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
You fall, you're not thinking about it. But if you're in the, this is my theory. I should
Sure,
write this
sure,
down.
sure.
It's like make it a journal, publish it or something. But I think it's
I'll
the fight
remember.
or flight
This
that
is the
keeps
peer
you
review.
alive, you know? The other ones are like accidents.
Well, the other one, they're like tons of adrenaline and
yeah, maybe it's
So
the
the brain is like
adrenaline.
charged
Yeah.
already.
Maybe it
so it's almost
protects
like
them.
so full of electricity
Ready.
in that moment that to jolt back is not
Maybe.
hard. Maybe.
When you rest, you rust. And that's all I have to say about that.
Facts.
yeah, like all the old ladies that live to be 100, they're like socializing, they're walking,
Taking
they're-
like shots of whiskey at night, you know,
That's so
doing all
cute.
this stuff. They're
Love that.
playing pinochle.
Yeah. Well, I think like, which I think this is your point. Like when you're like, oh, this lady was 120 and like she like drank a shot of whiskey and smoked cigarettes all day. The whiskey and cigarettes is not like healthy, but the fact that she didn't give a fuck so much that she was like, I'll smoke cigarettes and drink whiskey.
Yes.
Like the attitude is what kept her alive.
100%.
It's not like if everyone should smoke cigarettes and drink whiskey, you'll live to be 120. That's not the case.
No, it's her mindset.
But if you don't give a fuck so much that you're 120 and you're fucking
the
drinking,
don't give a
100%.
fuck attitude is very healthy for you.
very healthy.
It's a good healthy look.
And especially if she's doing the socializing with her friends and smoking and drinking with her friends at 105.
Camaraderie.
Having those people around you will keep you alive too.
Yeah.
I think.
For
My
sure.
grandma lived till she was 93. She smoked cigars and had whiskey every
No
day.
way.
And towards the way end of her life, she switched to like the e-cigars. And I'm not even kidding you. Every outlet of her house was like plugged in with charging stations or little pens were charging.
She
So
lived her
funny.
life.
She's from
Yeah.
Chicago as well.
No, my grandma was born and raised in Ohio, as she would say.
Ohio?
Ohio.
So many Ohio
um,
connections.
Yeah, then she spent most of her life in Tennessee
Tennessee.
and Florida.
But a lot of Christine's roots are Ohio.
Yeah, Indiana and Ohio, actually. I'm really
we
from
know
the,
so many
the
people
heartland.
from-
And
My
then I
roommate's
was
from
in
Ohio.
Illinois.
Everybody's from Ohio. What is it about Ohio?
It's the heart of America.
The heart. It's the earth.
It's our
of
heart.
the home.
It's the donut of America. That's where it is.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know where my family ended up. There was a rumor that like 5 Donnelly brothers arrived together and then they all split up, which I find weird. I feel like if you move to a new country, you want to stick by the people you know. But
Depends on
maybe not.
what went down on that boat. Like y'all had a big fight on the boat. It's like that's it. We're never seeing you again.
Fuck you, Bob.
Yeah, fuck you.
Leaving.
Have fun on the East Coast, piece of shit.
Yeah, we're going to Ohio. Could be.
So pretentious over there. I'm just-
Normal.
Are you French? Or you just speak French?
Oh la la.
She is French a little
is
bit.
French.
LaChasse is French.
So on
She
my,
is French.
thank you.
it
You're welcome.
means the chase.
It does. It means the chase, the hunt. It's fox hunting. that whole
yeah,
thing.
the foxtrot.
But anyway, I wish. But my father, on his side, they are all French. They came over here.
Not his parents, but his parents' parents.
His parents came here from France, and then they landed in Montreal, which is Montreal, and then they
oui.
came down to Louisiana, and
Also
they were
French.
there, also French. So
funny.
they
I want
were
to go there. I got to go to New Orleans.
I haven't
guys.
been either.
Let's all go.
It's
Hey,
cool.
I like
Yeah,
that
let's
so
go.
idea.
cool. It's so
Go
cool.
on, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. But I lived in France for a couple of years, not for any other reason, just to like get away. And then I found my people, and then I wanted to stay, and it was awesome. And we made movies, and it was so cool. And
Fun.
there's such a great like little independent cinema thing in Bordeaux, France, which I loved and I got into. And anyway, it was awesome. And then COVID hit. And I couldn't go back anymore because
she met
Americans
me.
were banned. And then I met him, and I was like, fuck
No,
France.
you're never going back now.
We tried to go to France this year and it just didn't work out or whatever. But man, oh man, taking jobs and getting busy and things, and don't take vacations, It has to be for something.
Every time I take vacations, I get a job
yeah,
offer.
it's hard.
Did you guys go to Europe?
No, we went
No,
almost. We went
we
to
never
New
made it.
York. We
Okay.
went to New York.
Went to New
Unfortunately,
York. You were heading there. You were heading to Europe.
New York was great.
Yes. We were going to leave from New York to France, but we ended up not. And that's okay.
So how was New York?
Okay.
I had been before. She had never. It was her first time. So go ahead.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Big Apple.
So I'm very fast. I'm like a cockroach, right? I'm just like, and I'm very comfortable in that thing. The more chaos, the more sound, the more like sirens going by and like danger around, the more comfortable I feel. That's just me personally, right? LA has a certain amount of that, which I'm comfortable in. New York has like 10 times more of that. And it's like, whoa, this energy, this like thing, and people jaywalking and not giving a fuck, but like also being the nicest person you're going to meet that day. Oh my God, I loved it. And it's also like old and cool. And the architecture, it's like somebody made that, you know, it wasn't just like a company. And like, you know, like in LA, like things are new. There's so many new things. They don't really care about the old stuff. They tear it down. They build something new. In New York, I felt like they really cared about like their culture and where they came from, and there was a history there. I loved it. I love the fast-pacedness, but you, Nebraska.
Well, I liked it, but I'm all about energy. But if I take one step to the left to admire something as a tourist, and someone else is like, "Hey, I'm walking here. What the fuck?" And they're like freak out, like it's a fucking two cars colliding, and I'm like, "Bro, chill out." I took a step to my left. I wanted to look at the hot dog sign, okay? I don't give a shit where you're going. Where you're going is important, but guess what? It's not important to me. I don't give a fuck where you're going. I'm going to check out this sign.
I think you are more New Yorker than you give
selfie.
yourself credit
Yeah,
for.
you sound like a New Yorker.
Sorry, I got a little upset there.
It's okay. So you clash
I'm
with
with
the
you.
people of New York.
I'm the same way. I'm a lollygagger. I'm always taking pictures. I need a minute. I need a minute.
Get over it. People are like, get the fuck out of my way.
Fucking
It's like a highway of bodies. No,
Yeah. And you're stopping in the middle of the 101
just
to
like,
take a
hey,
picture. Yeah.
hey.
Yeah, Christine is a lollygagger.
Oh, yeah.
Even if we just go for a walk around the neighborhood, she's like climbing in people's yards to take photos of their like a flower. Yeah.
Yes.
You never know.
But she's not going to post it. She just wants the photo.
I
for
want to know
herself.
what
Maybe
kind
she'll
of flower
post
it is.
but-
Private.
This
Private.
flower.
Private collection.
You know,
Gels
She's a
with me.
photographer.
I really like photojournaling my thoughts, you know? It's very fun for me to be like, oh, that I was struck by the beauty of this moment. Like, to hold on to that, I don't need to share it, but yeah, I get a lot of those captures, and so I'm very much like overwhelmed by the beauty of it all, and I'm annoying. I'm stopping all the time.
Be annoying.
Yeah,
Please.
that's what I do.
Please do it so that we
Be
can
like
feel
Travis.
okay doing
My
it.
sister, when you did that impression, I immediately thought of my brother-in-law. I'm like, it was, you know, it was like, that's
It was
exactly
Michael,
what he
yeah.
would say, like in his tone of voice too. But, and my sister gets so irritated with slow people too. It's so funny. But she always told me I should come live in New York for a while and like toughen up.
It would
And
be
care
fun.
less
Come
about what
toughen up.
people, come learn how to care less what people think. I'm like, you know, it's
And
good
there's-
advice. I
there's
wish I would have
energy.
done it in my early 20s, but.
Like the energy you guys are referring to, I heard this on the Joe Rogan podcast, so take it with a grain of salt. But it was referring to a study where if you just like stand on a street corner and you measure how quickly people walk and how quickly they talk, you can pretty accurately guess the population density.
Wow.
Like higher population, people talk fast, people move fast, shit's happening. Lower population, people talk slower, they move slower. Like,
Interesting.
and I don't know if it's an energy thing or it's just a fact of like
Survival.
survival. Yeah, there's shit going on. There's a lot to do. I don't know, but it is kind of
That's really
like-
interesting.
and again, maybe it's not even true. Don't know.
I
Heard
think
it.
it's I could, as a guy that comes from places
I mean,
very
it makes
small.
sense, right? Like cities, people talk fast, move fast. The country is slower, and life feels slower. Even when I just go to San Diego, as soon as I get out of
Slower
the car,
there.
I feel
Yeah.
a little slower. I
It
wake up
does
at my
feel
cousin's
calmer.
place. I don't feel any sort of rush. Here, I'm like, we're watching TV. That's cool, but like, I'm killing time. You know,
Okay,
like I
so-
feel. Christine helps me slow down, which is great.
Yeah, I do. I'm a
That's
slow.
good.
I'm a slow
That's
poke.
good.
I'm a slow
She's a
poke.
lollygagger.
Taking my jolly stroll through life. That's
Sunday
me.
driver.
Yeah,
That's fine.
No, I
That's
do
fine.
kind of hustle on the road. Actually, I'm surprisingly like quick on
Wanna
the
get
gas
home
pedal.
fast.
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to hurry up to relax all the time.
Hurry up and relax. I like
Yeah,
that.
hurry up and relax.
I gotta get home. I gotta relax. What were you gonna say?
I
Though?
was
What were you gonna
just
say?
thinking of that thing you brought up the other day, which I saw on the news of the guy who was feeling like he wasn't grounded. I think it was in southern Arizona.
And he did the wire.
And he did
saw
plugged
that.
in the wire and taped it in his bed. You told me about this.
Okay,
So
keep going.
he, you know, basically makes him puts a conductor from outside his yard into his bed.
It's a wire.
It's essentially wire, and it's like duct taped, and he's just rigged this little wire
So
from.
it's plugged into the earth.
It's plugged into
and
the
it's going
earth.
from the earth to his bed.
Into his bed, right? And so then he's reporting that he's got like less pain and less of his sleep issue, and he's sleeping better. And normally he has to take Advil to sleep, and now he doesn't. And so he wanted to prove that this was working for him. And so then he starts, I think, asking researchers from the University of Arizona for help, and they started doing all this research to figure it out, and they're finding it is relieving pain for a ton of people, and a variety of pain, like PMS and, you know, joint issues and all these different things, like not even one or two things, but this collection.
Would it be better if he just laid on the ground?
I know. I'm like,
Yeah,
imagine
it's a great
what would
question.
happen if you just went
It'll just,
straight to the source.
magnify it. Yeah, it'd
We
be
should
so
just
much more
dig out.
powerful.
It shouldn't be a bed. It should be a hole in the ground.
Make
that's
them a
in
little,
your-
make them a little cocoon.
Well, okay. If it's not just a placebo effect, it should be measurable amount of electricity reduced in your body or something.
And they were having the
So if
x-rays.
they're
I saw
doing that-
x-rays of it, and it was like A and B, and you'd see all these red flare-ups on the scans of these in-pain bodies. And then the next shot was like still a red zone, but significantly reduced.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
can
it
see
makes
it.
sense. We're very electric. The way our body works is a lot of electricity. Like an EKG, I don't understand exactly what it is, but it's measuring the electricity going through your body,
It's crazy.
something like that.
There's so
JC was
much we
telling me
don't know.
our buddy JC had some problems with his heart, and so he was at the hospital, and this was like a year ago. He's good now. He's a sweet boy. He's got a good heart.
Great heart. Great heart.
But he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, what's the EKG? Is it measuring like my blood, my pulse? He's like, no, it's like the electricity in your body is what we're measuring. It's like, what? I didn't even know I had that. So yeah, people do say also like barefoot people, they seem more laid back because they're
Grounded.
so grounded. But I don't know. Or are they just also like
They don't give a
laid back
fuck.
people don't put shoes on? It's not that barefoot people become laid back people
I don't know.
put shoes
I
on.
think it is an instant thing when you have a sensory experience. When you take your shoes off and you feel the dampness of the earth or the tickle of grass or the gentle pain of walking on pebbles, it immediately...
Yeah, there's an emotional stress relief, but is there an electric reduction? You know, are
mean,
you
it's a game
grounded
changer.
electrically?
I don't know.
I don't know.
might just keep
Maybe
you in
you
the
are.
moment.
I think you maybe because and I don't know, the heat is certainly your feet are such a release or source of like heat.
Yeah.
Like as soon as your feet are cold, you're cold. They're like this little conductor point. I don't know.
Yeah, but is it grounding you electrically, scientifically, measurably? I don't know. I would have to see the data.
The earth has electricity.
There's some sort of
in it.
energy
For
that's
sure.
got to go through your
Mushrooms.
feet that you don't get with shoes
Mushrooms
on.
are big electrical.
Yeah, right. There's
If you're,
gotta be.
and even just psychologically, you walk barefoot in grass and you're like, yeah.
Psychologically, for sure.
No, but I mean, you're like
Yeah.
essentially stripping the filter, the buffer between the pulse of the earth and how you're receiving it.
Yeah,
If you put a rubber,
makes you go, hey guys.
if you
Yeah.
put a rubber
Yeah.
condom on, you're not gonna feel the earth's charge through your feet. The rubber condom.
Yeah,
being
fellas,
shoes.
Oh, the shoe.
Sorry, I don't.
There's some,
Right. No, it was good. It was
trying to do
good. It was
something.
fine. Oh.
I don't know the name of this neurologist, but of course he's also been on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's this cool guy, and he talks about just stuff that's healthy that people don't do, and I think he's talked about the shoe thing, and then also even going out into the sunlight and without sunglasses, like within the first 3 or 4 hours when you wake up and like absorbing a certain amount of light is like good for your brain. And
Is that Huberman?
Huberman, yeah, he's
I've
cool.
listened to some of his podcasts. I think you were also checking out the Huberman Lab. No, Andrew Huberman or something.
That's him, yeah.
Oh, did I?
I've heard the thing about the sun. Anyway, yeah.
Fascinating stuff. So
It is
much we don't
fascinating.
know.
Yeah, I
we
listened
like
to
to
that.
pretend like we know everything, but we don't know so much.
Yeah, we know very, very little. We were just watching a show.
Don't
This
do
is
it.
also
Don't
Joe
do
Rogan
it.
shit.
Oh, okay.
The show is called
Ancient
Ancient
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
We started watching it too.
Fuck
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Have you finished it?
No, but
How far into it are
No,
you?
we're watching Ancient Aliens.
not far. We watched the first episode
Okay.
I was
of Ancient
asleep.
Civilization or
ahead.
Apocalypse. yeah.
Ancient Apocalypse, yeah. It's very cool. I mean, basically what it shows is that there's been like evidence of a pretty advanced society that existed like
know,
at
it's
the
not-
end of the Ice Age.
Oh, yeah, all the basalt things, as we saw that.
Yeah. anyway, that
Kind of
it was
countless
just-
examples, really. It's pretty cool.
So you're almost done with it?
We finished it. It's awesome. And that guy, Graham Hancock, was on Joe Rogan for 3 hours. And that to me is even more fascinating. Like it's none of the
Woo woo.
the
Scripted.
dramatic music, anything like that. He's just like, check this out. This is crazy. It's just like, pull up that chart. It's really cool. But yeah, it's just like proof over and over that people, because the idea is that about 6,000 BC, that's when civilizations started. That's when we went from hunter-gatherers who survived the Ice Age to like societies, agriculture, building shit. But it's like way before that, very sophisticated things were built. And it points to like an advanced society that existed
And
for a long
it
time.
challenges the field of archaeology to basically open their minds. They've been a little closed-minded and hard to budge on like the timeline. And even with all this new evidence, things are moving slowly. So
It's wild shit. It's super
Do you think
cool.
the pyramids
Let's go.
were built by aliens?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
But the aliens gave the ancient Egyptians knowledge to build the pyramids.
That,
like
I
that.
could
I like
buy
that.
into that. They probably plugged them in like something into their bed at night for a little while, just gave them a little knowledge.
They
and just like,
grounded
here,
them.
let me ground
The
you to my
Egyptians were just so
spaceship.
grounded.
I'll tether you up and then you'll know.
Could be that. What the series also proposes, because a lot of cultures have the story of a great flood, which they've proved that this flood happened. Like 12,000 years ago, there was a huge flood, in the rocks.
Noah's Ark flood?
Yeah, the Noah's Ark flood. Every culture has a story of a big flood. And then the cultures, most have a story also that, after the flood, a messenger came on a boat and taught us
With a
all
beard.
this knowledge.
Messenger with a beard.
Aliens.
Aliens. Taught us
Bearded
knowledge.
aliens.
Well,
With facial
aliens,
hair.
Or, at the time that there was the big flood, you had hunter-gatherers and you had very advanced people. And, if you think about right now, if shit went bottoms up, the hunter-gatherers who are living today would survive. We'd be
They'll be
fucked
fine,
in
yeah.
LA. And we'd be like, we got to team up with these fucking, if you knew a hunter-gatherer, you'd be like, can you help me? I can help you. I'll teach you how to fucking do the shit I know.
Teach you to make a podcast.
Yeah, I can show you how to make a podcast. I can show you how to play the drums.
Teach you about Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the idea is that when the flood happened, the people who survived from the advanced sought out these hunter-gatherers, taught them what they know about society, and sort of...
Did you guys learn this at your school?
No. This is all pretty new shit. It
They
wasn't
don't teach this
even-
in school because they don't want us to know.
don't want me to know.
They literally don't even teach, not to get political or anything, but
Do it.
they don't teach Native American history in high school, at least where I come from. And that's
Still?
it's not an accident. Well, at least when I was there. So
Yeah.
it's been since
In
2005.
Nebraska?
A lot of places, they don't have anthropology in high school. It's
Yeah.
it's controversial if
it's
you believe in God
controversial.
in the right way,
Yeah.
or the wrong way, however you want to say it.
My
I didn't
friend
learn
who
anything.
was, I've heard similar tales of that and have certainly seen. I mean, for a while, it was like a hot button issue trying to get evolution out of schools.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of for a while it trended. Now it feels like people are really worried about, just history in general, but sort of any sort of sexual agenda. I feel like any sort of language of, I don't know, that whole framework of, it's like that. That's the faux pas subject that's kind of under attack now. But yeah.
Everything's
I remember
under
the-
attack now.
Oh, that's how
There's a
we
war
go.
on Christmas. Did you know that?
Still?
I don't know. I always see on the news and at 6, there's a war on Christmas? Well,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
because you
No.
can't say Merry Christmas. You have to say Happy
You
Holidays.
can't
to
even
not-
say Merry Christmas anymore.
because it's
Merry
going to offend the
Christmas.
non-Christians.
You can say, I say Merry Christmas to people that I know celebrate Christmas. And
Yeah, I say it to
other
anybody.
than that, I'm just enjoy your time off from work. Happy holidays. It doesn't stress me out.
I say Happy Hanukkah to people that I know aren't Jewish.
Yeah, that's,
I'm just
Happy
hey,
Hanukkah. If you said that to me, I would be grateful. I'd feel very
is that
much like
offensive?
it's
I don't know. It
celebrate.
could be.
Maybe, but if you're offended
some
by it, you're
people.
an asshole. You're anti-Semitic. I
I'm
knew
a-
a guy who, no matter what time of day, he would say good morning. Even at night, he'd say, hey, good morning.
These
And
are
then
my
I was
people.
like, you say good morning all the time. It's nighttime. He's like, but doesn't it feel good? good morning.
Good
you know?
morning's the
And
best.
it feels nice.
Good morning.
You couldn't do the opposite though. Like in the
Most
morning, you're like, "Good
promising.
night."
Good night.
It's just weird.
It's just-
Oh, if
shuts
you're an
down your
editor,
whole
you
day.
can.
Yeah.
If you're an
You're
editor,
like, wait, am I
you
supposed
can.
to go to bed now?
Yeah.
100%. If you come out of an editing bay at 6 a.m. because you've been there since like 8 p.m. or whatever, it is good night when
That's
you see
true.
people.
I went to
next
bed
day.
at 6
I'll allow
a.m. the
it.
other day, and Christine was getting up for work, and there was like a
It's a weird time.
changing of the guards.
It really is.
Yeah, I did that too the other day. I did a couple overnight film shoots and got out at like 5:30. It was weird.
Last time I saw you,
I don't
you
think I
were
could handle
just starting to film that
yeah.
the short or whatever you did. You
All right, yeah.
and so tell me more about it.
So that was a boxing movie. You were talking earlier about boxing and getting knocked out.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned in that filming the movie is that it only takes 5 or maybe 8 pounds of pressure to knock someone out.
Wow.
Which is not that much.
No.
So that I guess explains why little guys can knock down big guys sometimes. But
If you hit the right spot, hard
yeah,
enough.
Right.
yeah, or strong enough punch. Yeah.
So real quick, what was the project and how did you get involved in the project? Because this was like your first acting thing, right? At least your biggest acting thing thus far.
First movie. Yep,
First
for
movie.
sure. Yep.
So,
No,
yeah.
it's not. He's so.
No,
he's been
no,
in
she's-
3 Lifetime movies.
Those are TV movies.
I know. Anyway,
Okay.
it's still a movie. So
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
So,
I
but this
interrupted.
was like the biggest
I'll allow
Sure,
it.
sure,
thing
sure.
to bite off and chew on that you've done.
Yeah, in some ways, for sure. It was actually a guy that she knew as well. His name's Jason, and I worked with him a couple years ago, right before COVID hit. I was doing location scouting, and he was in the art department doing props or set decorating. And we were gabbing and just shooting the shit, and then that got shut down, of course, and kept in contact. And then I met Suzanne, who actually knew him 7 or 8 years ago in the acting community, and he was in her acting class. And then we started making stuff together and posted it online, and he saw some scenes I did, and then he just hit me. Well, at first, I was like, all right. I knew he was making the movie. I'm like, cool, you're making a boxing movie. Sweet. Send me the script. And he's like, oh, yeah, we've already casted everything. I'm like, oh, too bad. And then I kind of forgot about it and neglected it, and then he hit me up like a year and a half later, and he's like, are you still interested? Because we have a role that just opened up. One of those like weird Hollywood timing things where it's like, oh yeah, the guy that we wanted is not available for
He was depressed.
for 2 or 3 weeks.
He was
Oh yeah,
depressed. Had to go home.
yeah. That's the inside knowledge.
He was.
Couldn't handle.
You know, it was just like he wasn't into it. You know, like things happen, personal stuff. You know, he had to go home. He
Yeah,
had to
crisis.
go home and deal with shit.
Well, yeah. What
you know?
actually happened is the director said, yeah, he moved, and he could have still been the actor in the movie, but he met up with him, and he's like, oh, he's not in the right headspace to like play this character.
This is a very jokey character. He's like the comedic best friend who, you know,
comic relief.
the
Yeah.
silver lining, you know,
Jovial.
kind of a guy.
You know, COVID jaded a lot of people and
Yeah.
fucked a lot of people up. And
All right, so Seth Rogen dropped out of the movie, and then you.
yeah, Seth
a big
Rogen.
name, I
we
assume.
couldn't
I'm just-
afford $20 million, and
Okay.
so
that
then-
freed up the budget a lot, actually.
yeah, it went from
Probably for the
Seth
best.
Rogen to me.
Next
and
best.
I was somehow second place.
Wow.
But it was great. We shot it in 3 weeks. We still have some pickups to do, but the main photography's done. It's about 90% done. And we had some good names in there. One guy was from Shawshank Redemption, Wolfgang Bodison,
Amazing.
really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He wasn't in that.
Sorry.
No. Mark Ralston.
Fuck. Let me start that over. You can
okay.
edit this.
Go ahead.
Had some really good actors in there. Wolfgang Bodison from A Few Good Men was in there.
Sure.
And then Mark Rolston from
Shawshank
Shawshank Redemption.
Redemption, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but that's one of my top 5.
And we looked him up last time you brought it up. He's the guy that like rapes Tim Robinson.
Totally.
And like you know him, you know this actor. If you look him up, you recognize him.
Like, I didn't talk to him at all, but I stared at him from the corner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's a
And we
great
were on
actor.
set together.
So professional.
And he was really
So
good.
awesome.
He killed it. But then in 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to do a pickup scene with Danny Trejo
Nice.
for the movie.
Fun.
And they're doing
He's
that
a
on
legend.
perfect. Jesus. Yeah, he's a total legend. They're doing that on purpose to increase the sellability, if that's a word, of the movie.
Well, that's a
Always.
thing. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
thing. Those
so
donuts.
he wasn't even in the movie. This is just one scene we're gonna plug in with Danny Trejo.
Yeah, basically, you know, every production is going to have its challenges. As I'm sure you know, someone's sick, someone gets COVID, there's a scheduling issue, and then you have to do what are called reshoots or like pickups. And it's like, oh, the last 10% of the movie we have to shoot in February of next year. But then he's, you know, Jason, our friend, the director, lead actor, and the writer of the film, really did his homework with getting investors and doing the research and finding out how do you sell a movie. And he knows other people that sold a movie for like $1 million. And so he's got smart people telling him to do stuff that's smart. And he's like, yeah, if you put Danny Trejo in one of these pickup scenes, that's going to boost your chances a lot.
Also, it's Danny Trejo. I mean, just have him around.
But
He's
it's
got
like-
his hands in everything these days, you know?
Donuts, movies.
Tacos.
We just saw him in the
Can
new
he do?
Iron Chef. We just saw.
Of course he did. He's everywhere.
He's a rad dude. He's
Yeah.
a real dude too. He was a prison box. He was famous in prison for boxing. He was
No
the best
way.
boxer like in the prison area.
Holy shit.
Like in this like San Quentin prison he was at in the 70s. He was the boxing champion. So like when he got out of prison, he was already famous. Like if you were like in that prison system, you'd see him and be like, holy shit, that's fucking Danny Trejo, like the boxer.
Oh my god.
They got it.
Pretty cool. That's how he got into acting, was because he was like
Typecasted.
No, he was like a
the tough guy.
consultant on a boxing movie or something, because some guy remembered him from prison and was like, oh, and then it was like, well, why don't you just fight the guy? And then he like lost a fight to Eric Roberts, I think, in a movie.
Can we talk about this Jake Paul shit for a second?
Sure.
Have you been watching this?
I mean, I'm peripherally
Why,
aware
is he
of it. He
crushing?
knocked out. He's winning. He wins every fight.
Crushing
I guess
it.
I don't know much about it, but it's impressive. Just like
It's impressive.
Just pivoting and like, oh, I'm gonna be a super annoying YouTube guy, and then now I'm like a legit boxer.
Yeah.
Like legit. It's crazy.
I
but
mean, in a lot of ways, it's the
Is this
same.
the guy? This is the guy you met.
I've met him.
Yeah.
Jake Paul.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
Logan Paul's younger brother.
Okay.
And he
He's-
sort of always played the heel on YouTube. He was kind of like, he knew people hated him, and I think he found a way to benefit from it. And this is just an extension of that, like calling people out, talking shit, getting them to, they'll pay money to see him hopefully get knocked out. And he keeps winning, which is impressive. Even if he was getting knocked out, I'd say he's a genius because he's getting all this money. Like everyone just wants to see him get punched
So
in the
much
face.
money.
But yeah, he just beat Anderson Silva, who's like an MMA legend. I
Legend.
mean, he's like 40 something years old. He's not in his prime.
25 and 40 something.
Yeah,
It's
so he's
crazy.
not in his prime. He's never fought like a professional boxer who's in their prime right now. But I don't know. I hear people like Joe Rogan, who are experts at fighting, say like he's a good.
Yeah, it's
boxer.
crazy. I gotta get him respect for that. You know,
I respect him.
I'm not a fighter. I did this boxing movie, but I'm not a fighter. It was weird.
Your comic relief.
And I was luckily supposed to be bad at fighting for the story, so that helped.
That is convenient.
Yeah, because I was
Seem untrained if you could, please. Seem untrained.
He took some classes.
took some classes. Didn't help really. Just
Well, that's good.
you know, if it wasn't the footwork,
He
it
would
was
just
this
come
other
home
stuff.
really pissed off. Like, I'm not good at this. I don't like it.
It's
I don't want to go anymore.
I like a good challenge, and I'm good at a lot of stuff. But if something's hard for me, I get frustrated very
Same.
easily. You know, maybe I just don't have patience. But yeah, it's a whole discipline, and I really enjoyed the training aspect of it. And you know, it's fun to work out and stuff and have that discipline.
Yeah.
But
I feel like when you're learning a new skill, if you feel like you're getting even just a little better each time, that's rewarding. But when
Yeah.
you're trying, and it feels like you're not even improving, you're improving zero, that can drive you nuts.
that's kind of
Sure.
yeah. So I was trying, you know, basically just to cheat it for camera because I talked to the guys and they're like, I can't make you a boxer in 3 weeks, but I can make you pretend to be a boxer in 3 weeks. And I'm like, all right, that's what we're doing here.
That's
But I also
fine.
wanted to learn how to fight in general. I didn't want him to give me like the Hollywood treatment. I wanted to learn a little something to protect myself as well. And
Sure.
but yeah, it was a hell of a workout. I sweated my ass off. Like 20, 30 seconds of like sparring, you know, it's like exhausting. But it was humbling, definitely, and I have like mad respect for those athletes now because it's just really hard.
Are you into the sport more now? Do you watch boxing anymore or MMA or anything?
No, I really don't give a shit about that. But I do think it's interesting, the whole Jake Paul thing. You know, the whole disruption or whatever.
Yeah.
Is interesting, and I would like to know how to fight. You know, like for end of the world scenario stuff. If I do ever have to fight, but
I agree. I
You know.
think it's a good thing to know how
It's
to
not-
do.
I know I've always wanted to take
yeah, I really don't
self-defense
know how
too.
to fight.
Running's a good one too. Just running away.
And
away.
yeah, you can
No.
also practice running.
No physicalness. Just fleeing.
Yeah.
Animals of
I know
flight.
I'm fast.
I'm a
that's
flighter.
usually my
Or I
my
try
go-to.
to
A
talk
flighter.
my way. I try to chime out. Charm. Try to charm my way
The
out.
Irish goodbye.
Yeah, I talk my way out too.
And then if that doesn't work, I run
and hide.
and hide. Yeah.
I know.
Or actually, usually a friend would jump in and help me. Actually, that's what has happened in the
Before,
past.
or you'd get your ass beat, like me.
Right, but I never have. Luckily.
Okay, good.
I've had 2 times I think where someone wanted to, and both time a friend jumped in.
Gotta get those numbers up.
They knew they're like, Paul's not going to do it. Let me just help out.
Wait,
step in
I'm
here.
sorry. So wait, somebody was trying to punch you, and then somebody.
I was at a party in college, and there was this kid who we liked him. He was our friend, but there was a pattern that grew of just kind of picking on him, and it like was getting out of hand.
You big bully.
And it was starting to really bother him, and I didn't know. And we were drunk at a party, and I was just like giving him shit. All I said actually was like, "Hey, dude, you think like we're in Florida, so there's like ponds and fountains everywhere." I was like, "Dude, you should swim out to that fountain," and whatever. Like, so I was like, just being a dick to him, and he was like, "Fuck you, Paul," and then I was like, "You know, we're friends," and he's like, "No, fuck you," and he was like, sort of bucked up to me, but then like a buddy like from Philly just kind of like jumped on him, like held him and just calmed him down. Like this guy had been in conflicts before and just knew how to kind of handle it. I was just like, I'm sorry, like I thought we were friends, like, you know. Well, because like we have really good friends and like we pick on our friends, you know, like you pick on the people you love the most.
Bullies.
But when you're not that close with someone and you give them that treatment, they feel like you're being an asshole. You know, like the trust is not built up.
Oh yeah.
And so I had to learn that. And then the other time was our buddy Nelson, who was like a terrible alcoholic and like that we all lived with. He was like a terror in the house.
Oh,
and I was like very publicly being like, you should move out. Like, please move out. He's like, you know what? Fuck you, Paul. And he started charging at me. And then JC, just like in my memory, like here comes Nelson, just JC just like wipes the screen away. And then it was like
So
a whole
do you think if you had a sword, you could have taken him?
Oh, for sure. On a horse. I was ready to slash and dash. JC didn't give me a chance. But anyway. So for the acting in the movie. Because you're like a relatively untrained actor, or not conventionally trained, right? You didn't go to school for it or anything. So was this your biggest acting challenge? And what, in the process of making the movie, was sort of the biggest challenge?
Yeah, it was definitely the most lines I've ever had and the biggest role I've ever had. And it was like the co-lead, the best friend of the lead. And I guess just kind of being sort of flexible on the day was challenging, because like you rehearse the lines however you want and you like have them in your head, but then of course every time you show up to set they change it and you think it's going to be one way, and then you show up and they're like, oh, actually you're going to be walking backwards now. and that's what actually happened. I was walking backwards in a scene talking to 2 actors and they're like, okay, but by the time you get to the curtain you have to finish your line, because then this other scene's going to happen and you're going to get like tackled by the bad guys. And so it's just like the
blocking.
Being adaptable and sort of listening and not freaking out, but you know, and trying not to overthink it. I can overthink it a lot, and she gives me a lot of acting advice naturally, and it's always the same note usually. Give me less. You know, 40%. She'll say, give me 40% less, which actually secretly means like 90% less, but she doesn't want to hurt your feelings. And if you tell an actor 90% less, then they're going to adjust too much. So you say 40% less, and it's like a little bit, but then it's usually not enough. But getting to the point where it's like the first 4 or 5 takes are like actory, and then you finally get something real near the end. So I guess just like having patience. And luckily she was able to be on set with me a lot. So in between takes, she could give me a little advice, like, hey, you're doing good, but like, you know, stop that other thing or whatever.
Stop that.
Suzanne is an acting coach for the people curious at home.
Yeah, and she knew the director, writer, so normally that might not be appropriate, but for this one.
Oh, but it was just like, I love Jason so much, and he wanted me on set. He was just like, come, be, you know, and the whole set is just like, these people, it's independent, so like they're there because they love, you know, everybody. So it was so nice to be, you know, invited to be a part of that, you know, because like there's no reason like your girlfriend should just like come to set with you or whatever. Like there's no reason, you know. So for him to be like, come, I want your opinion, I want you there. So nice.
He wanted your opinion about
nice.
The directing too.
But also as a director, actor, writer, like dealing with all that stuff, you don't have a lot of time to grab your actor and be like, let's have a conversation about this that will actually make sense to both of us and get that result that we want, which those conversations take a long time, you know. And if you have the time, great. This one, no time. Right. So for me to like kind of grab him and be like, let's talk about this thing, even just having a talk about it is so valuable.
For like 30 seconds,
right?
sometimes.
100%, just like a little talk. but it's all about mindset. And that way Jason could go off and be like, let me deal with the camera. Let me deal with the lights. Let me deal with all of this stuff that I have going on, because I can't spend 30 seconds with Travis. So for me to be there was so nice. And also, I really want you to do well. So, I wasn't telling you bad shit.
Sometimes I expected more direction, but then I didn't get it. And not like it was a bad thing. It was just like, the director's also the lead actor. He's also the executive producer. He's doing all these other things. And so I would expect more explanation or direction of, okay, what's going to happen? And I didn't get anything. It's like, all right, you got your lines. Okay, let's go. I was like, okay, we'll just go for it. Like, I guess I'm just decide myself what we're going to, not that I'm directing myself, but he gave me a lot of, I guess, responsibility in that way. But
I trusted
Which
you.
is nice.
Yeah,
he did. He trusted me, and it was.
But
it was
the input
really
is so
fun.
key, and that,
Because I never know. It's really hard with music. At least you can tell. Okay, I'm playing the song right. I know how the song goes. You can play it different ways, but this is the song. But sometimes when thought I did a good take, it's like, no, that was not good.
It's never good when you feel
and
like
then
it is.
sometimes I'm like, man,
Good
that was
acting.
real shitty. Then she'd be like, good, great job.
Yeah, the
And I'm
shittier
like,
you
what?
feel when you act, the better it is.
So it was really.
100%.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Not
I'm
on
still,
stage, though. It's different.
I'm still
Right.
totally a beginner, but learned a lot from that
Doing
for sure.
great.
that outside perspective though is so valuable. Like, even if she's telling you things that you would be able to see yourself, but you just can't see it because it's you doing it. So even just having someone. Whereas with music, I think it's a little easier to step outside of yourself, hear it. It always helps to get other ears in, but I don't know, to have a perspective of someone's being self-aware. I don't know. To know I don't know. It's hard to step outside yourself when it is yourself that is the sort of art form.
And I don't know how you are with music, but I know with acting or other stuff, I'm so critical with myself, and I'm like, that sucks. That's fucking horrible. I hate it. And then I'll have to step away and then come back to it. And it's like, okay, it's not that bad actually.
Also, you judge yourself too much.
Yeah, I can be my
you
own
take
worst
it
critic for
personal.
sure.
Oh, of course.
Sure.
I mean, that's the human experience. I
Yeah.
think we all. I think so. I mean, I know some people struggle with it more than others, but when you're faced with your face and your gesture and so many things that you're just that are pouring out of you, it's so hard not to
Take it
have
personally.
and just have so many critiques and be hyper analytical, where as somebody else is viewing it cohesively, but you're seeing every little
overthink
sum
it
of the
very
parts.
easily.
You're seeing it all. It's hard to turn off the brain and make sure that the self talk is nice. And it's interesting too, because it's never hard to muster up nice things to say about your peers or your friends or somebody else's work, but yeah, it's hard to accept what you own, your own creations.
Yeah, I'm not like that with music. It's easy for me to like a song. I don't think I'm under some illusion that it's this is the best song ever, but it's no, it's I'm not going to beat myself up. But acting, I think I would. Acting is so...
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
so
would
much
see
more
that.
personal, so much more vulnerable. I'm scared of acting. That's probably the thing I most want to do and I'm most scared to do.
Well, you got the look, bro. So you're halfway there.
Oh, thank you. It's so scary to me.
I
So
agree.
vulnerable. To pretend to do it and then to imagine myself trying so hard to do it and doing bad at it. There's so much embarrassment I have to get through and just put past me to let myself
There's
do
so
that.
much rejection too. It's
Yeah.
the name of the game.
I have
Yeah,
so
that's
much
so
fear
hard.
about acting that's holding me back from trying it.
oh
It's the
man,
thing I
well,
want
we
to
gotta
try
get
so
it. We
bad.
gotta all act together now.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world.
So we're going to be filming some music videos with you guys
Yes.
next weekend.
Yes.
And I mean, this is what I'm so excited to have your help with, because I've gotten some practice being on camera and stuff with the podcast, and even just the getting familiar with the sound of your own voice, all that takes time,
And that's the thing, yeah.
and you get more comfortable with it the more you do it. And I don't feel like I need to play back episodes and make sure I didn't make a stupid face in an
Right.
episode. I don't care so much anymore. But the music videos, I've never performed our music, so I know that there's gonna be some serious vulnerability coming out. It's gonna be hard.
It'll be helpful too. I think that we'll end up getting a lot of, which please give us this direction
Yes.
if you feel the need of it,
Please
especially
send
less
notes.
or more.
The thing with music videos that
I just want
to
I just want help having fun, because I feel like I
That's the
take
key.
things so seriously, and I get embarrassed to try. There's something that like when you put effort into something, the more effort you put into it, the harder it is to release because
It's your baby.
not like this
The more it
accidental
matters.
thing. It's not this casual thing anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I think is tricky for me, like just learning to have fun so that when I look back, I'm remembering how much fun I had in it. I'm liking that instead of being like, oh my God, I was like so concerned with how I looked or sounded or what I
It's natural.
did.
It's a natural
It's a
thing.
tricky process, this art thing.
What were you going to say, Suzanne?
Yes,
Like with
sorry.
music videos?
Oh, well, I've made a music video or 2 or 3 or 2,500, and they're one of my favorite things because they don't necessarily have to be narrative. You can just have vibes and cut it all together, and people are, as long as the track is good, as long as people are grooving to the music, it doesn't matter what you're showing them, and you're just like nice and snappy with the cuts. It's fine. It's going to work out. But in terms of, acting to tell a story, to make an emotional argument to an audience, a giant audience, and you don't even know where that audience comes from or who they are or what they've been through, all that stuff, to make a general impact and all of that stuff, it's so easy because you pretend to be a person and you're already a person. And so it's like, there's no problem. But do you remember being a little kid at the pool and you would just adopt a random ass kid and be like, you're a pirate and I'm a pirate too, and you've got gold and I'm coming after it, and you guys would just play for hours. And never at any moment during that time did you like think, ooh, am I like not being a pirate like good enough? You never thought
How's
about
my
that.
limp? I don't know if I'm
Yeah,
doing this
like-
right. Is my eye patch on the right side?
Should we be mermaids instead? Like, I don't know. Like, never
just in the
happened.
moment, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just in the moment. You're playing. You're just doing it, and that is so nice. And we lose that as we get older. We start like, oh, I want to like wear these shoes so Sandra will like me, or like I have to go to that party so like Bobby
Sandra.
sees me.
Sorry.
Sandra. Yeah,
Anyway.
that fishbowl effect where you feel
Yeah.
like you're being watched more and more, critiqued more and more certainly comes in as you get older, I think. But
We're just gonna have fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Here's
we're
my
gonna hold a
question.
chicken and have fun.
JC will help make it fun too.
cool.
And music videos are way different than like a live musical performance, which I'm looking forward to seeing you guys do at some point. Which, by the way, if you need a drummer, I'm around. I'm available.
He has
For
a
Modern
few
Mystics drummer.
set
Just saying, wanted to throw that out there. Music video, like I remember the Kurt Cobain, like Nirvana ones. Did you ever see it where he's just like making fun of it?
In the
think I
music
know
video?
that.
Like in their stories about where he just hated it, and he's like this huge artist, and they're like, you have to make a music video, and it's like fine, and he's just like sitting there like in front of the camera, like
Right.
kind of like
Right.
because you're lip syncing or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that's a whole different art compared to whole different type of performance compared to live musical performance. So it's interesting though, because you're like it's more playful. It's more you can just dance if you want to lip sync, you can. So it should be interesting. But it's less pressure, I feel like, than like a huge
But don't
show.
lip sync. Don't lip sync though. Really have words, because I can tell as an editor. I've had artists
Okay,
who
so
are
we'll actually
who are
sing.
doing the thing, and I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
I can tell that you're not doing so. Like, just sing.
Sing it.
Just sing it. We'll have the
Right,
we'll have the
sing
track
along,
you better
don't lip
sing.
sync.
100%. Just sing it.
That makes sense.
Sing
yeah.
it, because I can tell. I
Yeah.
can tell in the edit, 100%. So you don't want to be
I
an
love-
Ashley Simpson. Poor
Sorry,
girl.
I'm very
She
bad
didn't
at
deserve
interrupting.
any of that. She didn't deserve
Who?
any of that.
Ashley Simpson.
Ashley
she went
Simpson.
down.
Oh, for lip
That was
syncing.
taken
bullshit.
Milli
that was
Vanilli
such
too.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh,
It went
yeah.
down.
Britney Spears had her moment too. I mean, there's been all sorts of
Free Britney.
But Milli Vanilli, I think they got a record, they got a Grammy, and their voices weren't even on the record.
Oh my god.
I think was the thing with them.
Isn't that-
It's not like they lip synced at a live performance. I think it's not even them
They're
on
frauds.
the record.
Wow.
So they're just sort of an
Faces.
image. They're just faces. Which, whatever. A label probably said, "Can we hire you to be actors to play this Milli Vanilli thing?" Like it's not like it was their idea, probably. But yeah, versus Ashley Simpson, where it was like a live performance lip syncing.
I mean, when you're dancing around and doing all that stuff, everybody's lip syncing. Like, oh my god,
How do
it's
you dance like
ridiculous.
super hard
Yeah.
and sing well?
If
Like,
you
yeah.
listen to the audio track behind the scenes of like Britney or any artist like a Madonna or whatever, and they're up there, it sounds awful because they're hoofing it
Right.
the whole time. So they have that background
play the
track
track.
100%. It's
Yeah.
a no brainer, and everybody's done that. But it's like for some reason, Ashley Simpson, like we're gonna go after her.
As a music
Why?
fan that loves live shows, I will say that anyone with a backing track, whether it's pop or hip hop, which they do a lot, Super lame. Super lame. Fucking sing it live or I'm not coming.
You're talking about the vocal or the everything?
Well, I know like people that saw 50 Cent when he came to Lincoln, Nebraska, they're like, he was just totally rapping to a track and it's super lame. And he's like, I'm going to just take a break and smoke a blunt. And then the fucking track's still going to keep going. And then like when I feel like singing, I'm just going to join my fucking
the track he was rapping to had the lyrics in
Yes, it had the lyrics.
So
Yeah,
what
that's
about
rough.
a hip hop performance where, you know, you're saying the vocal is what bothers you? If the vocal's in the track.
Yeah,
if
I
I
mean-
got a DJ, he plays the beat. There's not a drummer here. It's a beat we recorded.
That's great. I like that.
The vocal should not.
It's like you might as well, just lip sync at that point.
Yeah. Well, there are also, that bothers me too. There are also bands that, like, especially a lot of metal bands, where like you're not hearing the bass player live. It's a backing track of what the bass player is supposed to be doing perfectly. And some bands, everything but the drummer is a backing track, and everyone's just kind of, they're playing the part. It's probably even their part they wrote, but like you're not hearing. If they stopped playing, it would keep going. That you get that a lot.
I'm not trying to hate on anyone, but
I mean, I don't respect that at all. Yeah, I don't like it.
it's. I don't know.
You have this issue though sometimes with That Kid Is You because you guys do a variety of instrumentals all the time, and so you can't have all of those.
Live.
all
No,
those
we
live.
could. It would just be a different.
But I mean, when it's you and JC, you choose to play tracks of.
Oh
those
yeah, when me and
instrumentals.
JC it's tracks. We're playing
not
to
like a full
instrumental
band.
tracks,
But
yeah.
not vocal tracks.
No, but there are backup vocal tracks every now and then.
As long as they're backups.
But what I'm saying
Usually
is
they're
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
you're right.
female part or like a completely different
Something you
part.
couldn't
or
do.
the ad libs or something. Yeah,
Something-
just like things. But the main rap we're doing
Like
live.
thank you.
Yeah, and it's
Thank
dumb
you.
not to do that. I agree. But yeah, but we
So
don't.
specific, my lord.
But like, I think to your original point when you brought this up, it would be 100 times better if there was a live band on stage doing all the
Like the
instrumentals.
Beatles.
Of
And
course.
can I tell you,
Of
Way
course.
I saw fucking Snoop Dogg live open for 311 of all bands.
Cool.
He should have been the headliner. They should open for him, but anyway. And he had a live band, live drummer, and he rapped that shit, and it was fucking sick.
Fun.
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop
what
Doggy
a guy.
Dogg.
course
Now,
he
and that's the
did.
thing. He could have had a backing track, and I didn't notice because he did so well.
Hmm.
And I was like,
No, I bet he had the band.
I'm
was
sure he
playing.
probably.
I bet the band was playing.
The band was playing, but did he have a vocal track that he's rapping to? I don't remember.
I don't know.
But the band was so good that it almost didn't even matter. But it's like if you got no band, anyway, 50 Cent.
Oh, he could read
Good
the
luck.
back of a
50.
shampoo
Good luck.
bottle and be interesting. That's Snoop Dogg. I love him.
Yeah, the live band is the dream. Like for That Kid Is You, when we blow up, our live show will be a full band. It won't sound exactly like the album because there's weird
No,
sounds
yeah.
on it and stuff.
It
It's
feels
going to be a
different.
whole different kind of version of all the songs, but that's kind of the dream.
Have you heard of Cherub?
Sounds
Have you heard of that Doses and Mimosas song?
Yeah.
Sounds
Doses and
familiar,
mimosas.
but no.
Yeah, I went to high school with the guy. They blew up. The Capitol Records, huge.
Wow.
And they started just two guys, and he did the synthesizer riff, and then he'd play that live, and then do live guitar to the pre-recorded synth beats, and they had the electronic beats, and then they blew up, and they had one or two albums, and then finally someone probably forced them. They're like, "We need a live band," and they were already like, so their manager or their agent or whatever is like, and then now they do they sound the exact same as two people, but with four people now, and they have like the little plugins on the drums, so you can make the electronic sound
Sure.
as you hit it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could do it now. You don't have to wait till you blew up.
I know that's the thing, that there is like a middle world where we should be doing some of the music we are actually performing live. But the thing, we're not like actual musicians. Like, I don't know the chords to these songs, or like,
It's fine.
You know,
I'm all ear.
I would have to learn it, but
It's fine.
so anyway, whatever.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right.
Oh, that's not a drink. That's a microphone.
All right, well, hey, let's wrap this podcast up. We'll keep hanging. We're gonna listen to some records, eat some whoopies.
Yeah, you guys ready for your whoopies?
Whoopee.
Not whippets, whoopies.
Whoopee.
Not
You remember
whippets,
that
whoopies,
talk
whoopie
show?
pies.
It was like a game show, and they would go like, when so and so makes whoopee with
Yeah, the dating game.
Yeah.
Or the newlywed game.
it means sex.
What's the weirdest
does?
place you've made whoopee?
That means sex. Wow.
Last night, Christine was making whoopee
in the kitchen. Yeah.
By herself.
by herself. That's right.
Or did you help
Solo.
with the whoopie pie?
I did not. No,
You watched. You
I
watched.
watched. Yeah, exactly.
I smelled it from the living room. Anyway, sorry.
Wash your hands, everyone.
Travis, Suzanne, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
An honor. Good to see you both.
You guys are
I
awesome.
hear we're shaking
at
hands.
Travi
The floor
Beck.
will shake.
At Travi Beck on Instagram.
Thank you, sir.
What's your Instagram?
At Suzanne _LaChasse.
Not LaChasse, LaChasse.
LaChasse, please.
It's French. C'est français.
C. No, that's Spanish. Thank you so much
Oui.
for listening, everybody.
Oui,
Good
oui.
night.